Hello everybody and welcome back to Visit Fylde Coast. What an absolutely lovely day. It's an absolutely lovely day to start another video at the top of the Blackpool Tower, and frankly, after the performance that I put up on the end of South Pier, I don't think I'm going to be going up there anytime soon. So we're on the prom, prom as you can see, and we're just watching the seagulls all swooping past. I was trying to catch one flying straight at me like this, a bit lower, could do with one a bit lower. And it's a perfect little spot to talk about the history of Seaside Holidays, because our next stop is North Pier. So before we get onto that subject, make sure that you've subscribed, make sure that you've hit the little bell for notifications, make sure that you've signed up for your Visit Fylde Coast email newsletter, and then you'll know when we've uploaded new content and what's going off in events and all that kind of stuff. So, Seaside Holidays, we all take it for granted, don't we? We all take it for granted that even if it's just for a day, that you can come to the coast. You can come to the coast and you can enjoy everything that it's got to offer and the fresh sea air. It's a lot easier given the fact that England is a relatively narrow island. It must be very strange living in the middle of America or landlocked Europe or somewhere like that. It must be very odd if you're a long way away from the coast and you can't get to it at all. So when you've kind of taken it for granted that you can just come and have a day trip at very least, have you ever given a thought to how we ended up with time off? You know, going back to the days when they used to send little boys up chimneys and all that kind of stuff. People just didn't have holidays, did they? They didn't have any time off. They just worked. They worked from morning till night. They worked from Monday to Sunday, and they dropped dead young. So that was kind of life. So unless you were landed gentry, and you've got people to do things for you, and servants and whatnot, that's kind of what everybody did. You just worked to survive. You worked to survive and then you died young. In fact, that's why we say it's the daily grind. I'm going back to the grind, because it dates back to when the people literally had to grind enough grain to make flour to eat that day, make the bread. So if you didn't already know, that's where that one comes from. Another one of my favourite sayings. But holidays date back to the Bank Holiday Monday Act of 1871. And believe it or not, they were dreamed up by the MP for Maidstone. Are you ready? You'll like this. He wanted to give bank workers a day off to watch cricket. Now, I don't understand cricket at all. I don't pretend to. But I can think of lots of things I'd rather do than watch cricket, and I just not. So they got their time off from the daily grind, and the Bank Holiday Monday Act of 1871 ingrained a little bit of time off for us mere mortals. And it wasn't until 1938 when the Holidays with Pay Act gave workers a right to a week's paid holiday a year. Now I can get T-Boy and Chrissy on the subject of holidays, and they'll say, when we were young and we had you, I mean, I'm not that old, we used to get a week off for this and a week off for that, and that was your lot, and that's all you got, that's all your holidays, and we didn't expect anything else. And it's not going back that far, really. So things have progressed quite a lot, just even in my lifetime. I mean, the thought of only getting sort of 2 weeks off in a year sounds quite barbaric, doesn't it? So now you see, we get plenty of time off to come and do things like this and sit in the sunshine and enjoy the coast and enjoy the view. So you've probably, if you're old enough or you knock about with your grandparents and whatnot, you've probably heard of Wakes Weeks. And Wakes Weeks were the ones where the mills and the factories closed for maintenance, So obviously Blackpool is kind of capital of the northwest, and it's really close to places like Rochdale and Chorley and Bury and all that kind of stuff, which were all mill towns. And the factories and the mills all used to close for maintenance. Now I'm going to tell you something else. When I was a lass, the first job I had, I worked in an iron foundry, would you believe, in the office, not in the foundry. And we used to close for maintenance. We used to close for, I can't remember whether it's a week or 2 weeks. So I'm going back 30 years. So it wasn't sort of optional. You got to have your holidays that time. And originally, when the mills were closed, it was unpaid leave for the workers. And the name Wakes Weeks dates back to an old name for a night of prayer. I've heard Wakes Weeks, obviously, since Adam was a lad. Since ever I can ever remember, they've always been called Wakes Weeks. But I've never actually known where the name came from. So apparently it stems back from the Old English word waken, and each village had a wake starting at the sunset on the Saturday, with rush bearing and church services on the Sunday, followed by sports games and dancing and drinking, according to Wikipedia. And eventually the entertainment moved to a Saturday. So there you go, night of prayer, that's what it dates back to. So we'll amble towards the pier, because that's where we're going next on our afternoon of videoing. Very apt when we're talking about the history of seaside holidays, when you think that the pier is about 160 years old. 160, goodness me, it's worn well to say it's standing in the sea every day. So on the 1st of April 2009, the law changed, and we are all now entitled to 5.5 weeks, well 5.6 weeks, I'm not quite sure what 0.6 of a week is. What does that look like? We're entitled to 5.6 weeks of statutory leave, which is a laugh, because if you're self-employed like I am, you'll know that 5.6 weeks of holiday is a bit of a wishful thinking. And as for Blackpool, well, I mean the Clifton, well, it's called Foreshores now, because that was one of its old names. But the seaside towns like Blackpool that have got all these marvellous old buildings, because the Metropole and some of these hotels were built at or around the same time as the pier. They all kind of came together. And it was in 1626 when a woman called Elizabeth Farrow proclaimed the benefits of seaside waters. And she was going to South Bay at Scarborough. And it was claimed to be a cure for hypochondriac, melancholy and windness. So that would be a good one for Poet too, wouldn't it? Or Poet too, as somebody called it. And it was claimed that the water at Scarborough and other spa towns like it could cure epilepsy, vertigo, apoplexy, catalepsy, cleanse the stomach, I bet that did, and end scurvy, asthma and jaundice, both black and yellow. So there you go. What we need to do is to find ourselves a spa, and we can bottle the water and sell it and make an absolute fortune. So that's why we all started coming to the seaside. Otherwise, you never know, we could have perhaps all gone and started visiting woods or quarries or cliffs or something. And then of course bathing machines became the rage, which later became beach huts. And the first one was used in 1909 in Bournemouth. There are now 20,000 around the UK, and there's some in Fleetwood and some in St Anne's. And it's quite apt that we've got up to the tramway extension, because in another 12 months or so, trams won't just go in a straight line up and down the coastline, they'll also turn what is right here at the traffic lights and go along Talbot Road, because the railway station is just up there, and there's a new extension to connect it to the seafront, and the railways brought thousands of people to Blackpool. And then in the 1980s and 1990s, everybody started going abroad. So after the pandemic, and then the cost of fuel because of the war in Ukraine, everybody started coming back. So good old Blackpool and others like it are having a nice resurgence in popularity. So that's how we all ended up flocking to the seaside. So it's a Monday as I'm videoing this. It's a Monday in June and it's a lovely day. It's quite busy. It's not school holidays. It's not school holidays at all, to my knowledge. So if it's this busy on a Monday in June, multiply this by a lot, and you can see how busy it is in peak holiday season. It's fabulous. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure that you give it a thumbs up and like it. Make sure that you've subscribed. Make sure you've hit the little bell for notifications and done all that kind of stuff. And we will see you in our next edition. We've got lots more where this one came from. So until next time, we'll see you again. Bye for now.